Hello, hello. Welcome to Revelator Alpha post-Christmas drinks, if you will. A post-Christmas drinks of 2022, eagerly awaiting 2023. And we're talking about motorcycles. We're talking about biker stuff. We're talking about news. We're talking about anything you like. This is it's just a filler really in between Christmas and New Year to see what you got, see what Santa brought you, see what you missed out on. And what are your hopes and dreams for next year? And I suppose I'm going to be heavily talking about motorcycles, talking about Harley Davidson, talking about Indian, BMW, KTM, whoever you want to talk about. It's an open season. It's open season on all things motorcycle in this live show. But I do have a couple of topics to discuss. And what I'll do, I will release those as clips as well as individual videos. So let's see how that works out. But really, it's just to see how you all got on. You know, I had the family round for Christmas. That was all very nice, a bit chaotic, lots of presents, lots of kids running around, but it was all very nice. So hopefully you had a nice Christmas yourselves. And whether you celebrate it or not, you know, I hope you've had the last few days. They've been well to you, they've been good. But say this show is all about, well, let's say just winding down and reflecting and digesting all the Christmas pudding, let's say, of 2022, everything that's gone on and what we think has been a good year for 2022. And what do we think will improve, or well, do we think it will improve in 2023 in terms of motorcycles, or motorcycle life, motorcycle news, or do you think it's going to be much of the same? Let us know in the comments. I will try and get into the comments a lot sooner today as well. So as soon as I see anybody posting any comments, I'll try and address those. So any questions? It's open season, as I say. Any questions? Anything you like? I have been trawling the news feeds over the last couple of days, various news feeds from all around the world for motorcycles, that is. And I've got to say, you know, as I've said for the last couple of weeks, it's kind of dried up, and you would expect that in between Christmas and New Year, wouldn't you? But there are some little bits and pieces out there, and I've also come into some interesting information for 2023. I've just seen where my headphone is, by the way. It's way up there. I don't know what it's doing back there. Let me just reposition this. There we go. That's better. That seems to be a little bit more better. Hopefully the sound is coming through as well. I've worked hard on the audio. I have I have released some videos recently, purposely not doing high production value, and you may have seen a lot of those, and purposely not good audio and not good video as well. And there is a reason for that as well, but I'll say in the fullness of time I'll let you know what that is. Raymond, hello, good afternoon. Do you think, let me just pop this up on the screen as well. I haven't read it, I'm just going to go in cold. Do you think Harley will grab the younger market, or are they trying too hard, changing too fast? Very good question. I've always thought that they should be. They've got to be moving with the times. Now, the counter argument to that is that any moves that they make is obviously going to alienate the die-hard fans, the die-hard Harley Davidson fans, and especially those who are a bit long in the tooth. So let's say from my age onwards, well, even a little bit younger, let's say mid 40s up to 70s and 80s year olds. Obviously, you're going to have your preconceptions of what Harley Davidson should be, and you know, but the fact remains that Harley Davidson cannot rely on the likes of you and I, if you are my age or older, to keep the business afloat. They need to attract new riders, and they need to attract the next generation rider, and also and other demographics of riders as well. So what that means is a lot more women, a lot more younger people, a lot more people from different ethnic backgrounds, a lot more people from different socio-economic backgrounds, a lot more people from different persuasions, let's say. I don't know, whatever demographic you can think of, Harley Davidson, as any other company, need to be looking at trying to attract those to a brand. Now, if your brand is seen as still the old man, the old fart, um, riders, let's say, then you've got a bit of a problem. But when you start changing that and actually starting to address some of the wants and desires of the younger people or of those other demographics, then you're onto a pathway that may satisfy the requirements of the future. However, it's going to be a few years, let's say, of uncertainty where you can't jump forward too quickly because you still got to keep your fan base, your original fan base on side. But there's no doubt that they need to modify and they need to change. And I think for 2023, I think we're going to see a lot of surprises in that respect. The things that I've heard, the things that I've made videos about in the last sort of few weeks. In fact, a lot of these things I've been talking about for months and months and months, where nobody else has been reporting this, nobody else has been talking about this. So it could very well be that 2023 is the year that Harley Davidson start making some inroads into different markets, different age groups, different, say, demographics, different persuasions, but also addressing the culture of today. And the culture of today is not necessarily your American dream, long winding highway, riding off into freedom and all that sort of stuff. Actually, you got to look at younger people over the whole world. What are they doing and what are they thinking? Now, this is no mean task. It is definitely a hard thing to do. However, what I think will happen with the Chinese collaboration and with the Indian collaboration, Harley Davidson may be making some strides there. And let's not forget, they already have their foot in the electric bike market. And if they make those bikes a lot cheaper, and also if they can make the Revolution Max engine a much smaller engine as well out of that platform, then make different bikes out of that, you've got to you open yourself to a market, much bigger market. Now, when you do that, all of a sudden, what will happen, no doubt, is that you get a lot of complaints. You'll get a lot of complaints who think they've been let down or whatever. But it comes down to, which sells, which sells. Now, I'm not saying they abandon all their bikes. Definitely not. They definitely should not abandon the bikes that they're currently selling, or the types of bikes that they're selling. But they need to add those extras. And I think 2023, I think they may do it. They may make a lot of mistakes along the way. In fact, I would not be surprised. Let us know, by the way, how the audio's come through. Let us know if you're getting a good picture as well, and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully, I've changed a few things. I finally learned how to use my microphone, which I think that's what it was. I just wasn't using it correctly. But there we go. So thank you, Roman, for that question. So any more questions, please let us know in here. There are, as I say, there's some news coming through. I've heard in the last sort of 3 or 4 days, I've actually heard a lot of they are purely rumors, okay, and they are purely just bits of information. Now, the problem with that is that, as I've said many, many times before on my live streams, and I think if you watch my channel, you're going to get a lot more meat on the bones from me from my live shows rather than my videos where I might just talk about an individual topic. But I do say this on a regular basis to say, actually, a lot of this stuff is just rumor. It's unsubstantiated. And it's for me, I find it difficult just to make a video of idle nonsense, really. I'd rather incorporate that into a live show and just discuss the possibilities. But look, and I'll give you this for free. Okay, this is what I've heard. So this is all unsubstantiated, and it could be complete nonsense, right? So I've made the videos about Harley Davidson with the small CC engine bikes they were talking about. I've made the the news about the Nightster S, about the CVOs as well, and in the last few days. So if you go to the channel, you can watch all those videos. I won't go over that ground as well. But there's lots of there's lots of news or lots of rumors that I've been hearing about Harley Davidson making a smaller Revolution Max engine bike, making Revolution Max models in the that may look like a bit like Softails, and also going into Touras as well. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be this year, as in 2023 coming and the reveal, but it looks as if that is definitely where they're going. One of the interesting things I found was that lots of this is from all over the world. I get feeds from all over the world where different sources are saying different things. And again, if you're watching a YouTube channel, like mine, but any others that just talk about black and white information, I would always be very skeptical of that, because it really depends which market you're talking about. So the last couple of weeks, there's been a bit of unsubstantiated claims that some type certifications for the Australian market have been leaked. And again, I've reported on it, I've shown it, but it is kind of unsubstantiated until you actually see this for yourself. And it's not been corroborated by other news outlets. In other words, the story comes out by one particular publication, and lots of other publications and YouTubers like me jump on the story to say, hey, look, this is what the Australian market doing, or this is what this publication has said about it. But nobody else is coming out and saying, actually, I've seen this information for myself and I can corroborate that this is what's happening in the Australian market. So there's lots of stuff like that. There's lots of stuff for the Australian market, Australian, New Zealand market, for Europe. Lots of stuff about engine sizes and different types of bikes that are going to be available for the European market, and also for North American market. And we're talking United States and Canada as well. There are lots of differences. There are lots of bikes that are still going to be available. Lots won't. So you're kind of in this sort of no man's land, really, at this time, where it's just a whirlwind of information, but you're never quite sure, one, if it's accurate, but you kind of think sometimes it is accurate if you're hearing the same story over and over again. But the other problem is that you don't know which market this information relates to. So it's quite a difficult one. It's quite a difficult one. And Harley Davidson, as most companies, this is not a dig out of Harley Davidson at all. But Harley Davidson, in this particular case, they don't tend to tell you what they're taking away. They don't tend to say to you, hey guys, we're discontinuing this bike. We're not going to do it anymore because we just don't like it and we just don't think it's selling enough. And we only sold 10 last year and we don't think it's worth. They don't tend to do that. What they'll tend to do is say, hey, look at this brand new motorcycle. Look at this addition to the Softail lineup, or to the Grand American Tourers, this kind of stuff. But in the meantime, they, at the back door, they get rid of those bikes. So here we go. Dom, but hello there. Any Street Bob 500 for the UK? Well, this is the interesting thing here. As I said, Dom, they are, as I'm led to believe. Now, this is, again, we do not know if any of the bikes that I've talked about in the last couple of weeks, like the small CC bikes, whether they're coming to Europe. However, it has been noted that a lot of these, but the European market is basically funded by the Thailand production line, and whether those Indian bikes, Indian Harleys, which are the end of 2023, 2024, or the Chinese Harleys, will indeed be coming to the UK. I've got a feeling they will be. They will be, and it might make it for an interesting ride as well. Look, of what I've seen of the small bikes, 350 and the 500. And let's not forget the Indian collaboration with Harley Davidson from Hero. This is Hero Motorcorp, right? They're talking about 8 to 10 models with the Hero Harley Davidson banner. So that's a lot of motorcycles. And you would imagine that those bikes may or may not be too expensive for that domestic market, for India or for China. However, they won't be expensive for the European market. And those kinds of bikes, I dare say, would be much more suited to the European market than they would be to the North American market, United States and Canada. I mean, look, there's always going to be backlash from people. They're always going to be, people who are anti-China or anti anything that is an American, especially with Harley Davidson. And I get that, I understand that, but at the same time, you've got to consider this as now. Harley Davidson are an American company, but they've got a global reach, and they've got to be thinking about their global presence. So. But look, it's an interesting time for Harley Davidson. But yeah, there's definitely lots of rumors, lots of gossip. But I think we're going to be surprised by Harley Davidson in their reveal. I think they're going to be talking a lot about their future. Look. I don't want to be dismissive of Harley Davidson at all, because I know what's coming. I know it's going to be lashings and lashings of, nostalgia, and look at where we've come from over 120 years, and lots of black and white B-roll, and all this sort of stuff. And it's and they're going to have lots of cameo video pieces of people celebrating the 120th year. I get it, and it's going to be so if it's going to be a bit sickly sweet in that respect. However, on top of that, I think they're going to be making big announcements. And what I would want them to see, to say, look, we've been around 120 years and we've got a lot of heritage, and these are the bikes that you know us for. However, these are the these other bikes that we're now going to reveal to you, a different Pan America, different Sportsters, different Nightsters with a Revolution Max engine, different Softail, different Tourer with a Revolution Max engine, and also all these other smaller bikes with the global market. This is Harley Davidson of the future. You're not losing us. We're still here, but we're going to be offering you a lot more. Take your pick, and we're going to be bringing newer people into the family, the Harley Davidson family. And we're not talking about bringing kids into the Harley Davidson family with little pedal bikes, or people who want to ride electric bicycles or anything like that. We're talking about proper people who want to ride, as in adult people or young adult people who are going to be riding motorcycles, and these are different motorcycles. So that's the interesting thing. Dom, has the Livewire had any sales in the UK? Just can't see Harley coming out with more electric bikes anytime soon. Okay, well, they actually have. Okay, so they've sold quite a few. I wouldn't say a lot, but certainly quite a few. But obviously Harley Davidson then separated Livewire into a separate company. So Livewire, the company, then produced Livewire One, which is Harley Davidson Livewire, right? And that is now sold substantially lower, lesser price in the United States. This is, and they're bringing up their own dealership network. They've also sold out of their pre-orders or pre-sale orders of their second electric bike, which is the Del Mar, and that's been in production. I think either just recently or very, very soon, customers will be receiving their first Del Mar motorcycles or electric motorcycles. If you watch my live show a few weeks ago when I talked about India, they're heavily saying that there's going to be another electric bike, a smaller electric bike as well. And this is where Harley, a company like Harley Davidson, you got to think, well, they're one of the big players who came into the electric bike market first from the big manufacturers, that is, but they're very expensive electric bikes. So you got to think, right, they're not going to be selling many, of course. They're not going to be selling many. But now the likes of Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, and other big motorcycle companies BMW. But let's not forget the Chinese motorcycle manufacturers and the Indian motorcycle manufacturers are producing electric bikes, and especially the Chinese are coming on strong with electric bikes. There's going to be a lot of competition for Harley Davidson as the main company, but Livewire as a subsidiary company as well, to produce not only electric bikes but also competitive on price and cheap ones as well. Whether they can do that or not, we don't know. So, but Jochen Zeitz, the CEO of Harley Davidson, is adamant that that's the way the company needs to go. And you can't argue with that, or you can't dismiss that he, as a CEO, is being realistic of where the market is. The market is going into smaller bikes and also electric bikes of the future. So watch your space. Well, let's see what happens. But I say, they do run the risk, Harley Davidson and Livewire, the subsidiary company, of outpricing themselves of the market, because you've got all these other established electric bike markets who, granted, are producing predominantly expensive electric bikes as well. And also, you've also got the range thing, but the technology is evolving all the time. But if you consider now the likes of Honda bringing out electric bikes, Kawasaki are bringing out electric bikes for 2023, all of a sudden now you've got major competition from companies that have a massive global reach, and they are operating in markets where Harley Davidson can only dream to operate, in terms of unit sales. And this is why Honda, whether you like them or not, that's why they're number one, in a global sense, because they sell all the motorcycles that I keep on talking about, saying this is what fuels a big corporation. It's all smaller bikes, but they also have the bigger bikes that we aspire to own. So that's where Harley Davidson are missing out. Harley Davidson have got the bikes that people aspire to own, but they don't have those bikes that get you into the brand and get you mobile, and very cheaply, and that's what they need to do. But look, I suppose this. What can I say? This is where we need to talk about Harley Davidson for 2023. What are the major, what are the major competition for Harley Davidson in 2023? So let's get into this, okay? Harley Davidson are a company that's evolving, and we can see that with the Revolution Max engine, with the electric bikes, and if the small displacement engines from the 350, 500 from China, from India come online, that's going to be a massive change for the company. But where are they going to get their main competitors for 2023? Well, here's where I see it. They're going to get their main competition for, let's say, the Softails and for the Taurus from Honda. The Honda Rebel 1100T, CMX 1100T. That's going to be a big one for Harley Davidson. They're also going to get much, much bigger competition from BMW, the R18. They're also BMW coming out with the R12 as well. So that's something they need to pay attention to. It's kind of not really competition for Harley Davidson, I don't believe, because of the numbers, but Indian motorcycles, so we know, have been coming on strong, but they've kind of plateaued and fallen off, and they've been suffering with the similar kinds of issues that Harley Davidson have, but they've got some decent bikes in their range. Certainly the Scout, let's say, the FTRs, those kinds of bikes, the smaller bikes, let's say, that can put competition not only on the Nightster, the Sportster S, but also in the Softails. That's where a lot of competition is going to come from Harley Davidson. Now, in terms of, let's say, Harley Davidson of the Pan America, well, Pan America sold quite well in the last couple of years, but it is kind of the new kid on the block. Now you've got the likes of BMW, Honda, KTM, Ducati. Crikey, there's lots and lots of other manufacturers now who have jumped on this bandwagon to actually come out with a new adventure bike and they're smaller displacement CCs. So they're looking at bringing the engine CC down. And this is where Harley Davidson may have that competition, not for the Pan America 1250, but for the Pan America 975, if they choose to release that in January. So there's going to be stiff competition. So here's the prediction from you guys, for you guys to say, well, actually, will Harley Davidson, the Pan America 975, will that sell as well as the Pan America 1250 in the first 2 years? I'm not so sure that it will, because of all this other competition that's out there. So Harley Davidson are going to have an interesting year for 2023. They're going to face a lot of competition for their existing model lineup. However, I believe that they can offset that with the introduction of these other models, broadening their range with the liquid cooled bikes, but also with these smaller displacement engines as well. And I think that's where the market is for Harley Davidson, the emerging market of Harley Davidson, taking that brand and just putting it in a marketplace, and then people can say, okay, I can buy a much cheaper Harley Davidson here, and you know what, I'm going to have lots of kudos when I'm riding down the street. It could work for them, it couldn't, but they're going to have stiff competition, definitely from BMW, because BMW, for their R18, they've been very, very sensible, in my thinking, in many ways, a very Germanic approach with their R18s. They came out with one, then they've come out with the Bagger, and then the Tourer as well. Then they've got lots of different custom incarnations, and they're looking at 2023 bikes as well, not only for different variants or different options on the R18s, but they're also coming out with the R12 as well. And that is really going to challenge the Nightster and the Sportster S. So watch out for that. Watch out for BMW coming on strong. Watch out for Honda with their bikes as well. I say that CMX 1100 Rebel, that's going to appeal to a lot of people who do not want to pay the Harley Davidson price tag, but they definitely want to have that kind of cruiser, tourer, or semi-tourer motorcycle. So Harley Davidson will have a lot of competition in 2023. It's whether they can defend their corner and actually come out with more offerings, because if they just stay as they are, if they just stay with the Taurus and the Softails, what's going to happen is that the fan base that they have, they're going to look at those Taurus and Softails and saying, yes, these are great bikes because we're Harley Davidson fans. However, we're now talking about another 10-15% price increase on those models. Now we're looking at motorcycles that are way beyond our reach. And we've got another motorcycle here that is as good, performs as well. It may not be aesthetically pleasing, but it's going to save me £10,000 or dollars or shekels or whatever it is. That's where you've got to look at the competition. The competition is directly linked to what people can afford and not necessarily what people want. Harley Davidson have been feasting for many, many years now on what people want, on the aspirations. And people have been able to aspire to buy a Harley Davidson because global finances, have effectively enabled them to do so with cheap financing. Now that's all going away. The times are changing in the financial market for everybody all around the world. Then people, if they are going to look at motorcycles, they're going to be looking possibly at the competition. So watch out. Let us know your thoughts on that. But this is the competition for 2023. That's going to be pretty stiff for Harley Davidson. Right, let's move on. That's I suppose that's one of the topics. Let us know your thoughts on that. I'd say, I still believe that Harley Davidson as a company have a lot to offer. I think they've got a lot of they've earned a lot of brownie points, as we would say in the UK, with the last couple of bikes. They made lots of mistakes over the years. So, name me a manufacturer that doesn't, right? But I just think that they've just got to be aware. They've just got to be ready for what is coming out there. I mean, I see I've got something here. There we go. Look, let me just share something with you, and I'll tell you what I was talking about here. So this is about BMW, right? BMW, and I covered this story a couple of weeks ago as well. Let me just put the full size here. BMW, with the R18s, they got an RN9, R9T Roadster as well. These are 2023 anniversary, 100-year anniversary edition bikes. Triumph are doing something similar with their bikes as well for 2023, sort of changing them up a little bit, offering more selections as well. So Harley Davidson, you're got to look at these bikes here. And I'm not saying they're any cheaper necessarily than Harley Davidson, but they are a viable alternative. And that's the thing. They're a viable alternative. And people are buying these bikes and they're thinking, yeah, I like this. I like the cool factor of being on a BMW R18, or I like being on a Triumph, or being on a Honda. They're liking it. They're liking that sort of stuff. So Harley Davidson here. What was this? There was another story here. I I don't follow this kind of stuff. So let us know what your thoughts are. But this is another story here. Hold on. What have I done here? This comes from the Australian press, and it's about Harley Davidson, but it kind of isn't, right? It's the Mail Online, and I suppose if you're in Australia, you'll know who this person is. But Lydia Thorpe, like you've never seen her before, Greens senator, defiantly poses on a Harley Davidson following bombshell revelations about her love affair with a bikey boss. Okay, so this is her. She must be some kind of politician, right? Has struck a provocative post, must be, on a Harley Davidson just 2 months after she was censured over her affair with a bikey boss. So bikies are Australian motorcycle clubbers. That's what they call, most people in a motorcycle club, bikers, but not anyway. The Green senator posted a photo of herself straddling the black motorcycle to her social media pages on Wednesday with a caption, ran into some old mates. It comes after Miss Thorpe was dumped as the party's deputy senator leader following bombshell revelations in October. She had a romantic relationship with ex-Rebels leader Dean Martin. Oh, ex-Rebels, right, while serving on a committee which looked into bikey gangs. Well, there you go. That's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, she's she's definitely got the look, that's for sure. But I just thought that was really funny. I mean, you see, the headline says something. And let me just say here, the headline, it doesn't say ex biker or ex bikey boss. It basically says with a bikey boss. So a bit of clickbait there on the title there. But there we go. Look. I just thought it was really interesting that there's always this thing, isn't there, with Harley Davidson and the bad boy image and everything, and it doesn't matter what you're doing in life. Let's say you can have the media, or you can have conservative views against you, regardless of what you are as a person. So this, let's say you're in a motorcycle club, right? And then all of a sudden you start having an affair with, I don't know, some politician or something. Just because you're in a motorcycle club, all of a sudden that may be perceived as being bad form for the politician, because they just don't want it, or you might not even be a politician. You might work in a bank, or you might work in a whatever. So all of a sudden, because and then by extension, let's just say you ride a Harley Davidson, or even just a motorcycle, or you hang around with people like that, you might, be tarred with a brush that is not exactly what people think you should be doing, as it were. You should be doing something better. I just always find it really interesting how people react to other people just by their pastimes, or just by the way they dress, or that kind of stuff. But that was a little interesting story. I mean, if you're from Australia and you know this story, obviously let us know in the comments later on if you know who this Lydia hold on, Lydia Thorpe is, and who these other people are. I know Rebels Motorcycle Club, and they are a bona fide motorcycle club, of course. These guys, these two guys in the picture, they're not wearing any patches or insignia or anything like that. So I actually don't know who these guys are, whether they were in the motorcycle club or not. I have no idea. But anyway, I just thought it was really interesting. But saying she's she got a tattoo on her left arm, I believe. So she's a bit rock and roll, definitely a bit rock and roll. I just wonder what the Greens is. Is it like the Green Party? I think the Green Party. I wonder if the Green Party that she belonged to, if it is indeed a Green Party, an environmental lobby party, whether they kicked her out because it got nothing to do that she was involved with a biker or a motorcycle club leader or ex leader. Well, it says leader here, but I assume president or something. I'm just wondering whether it was because she's riding a Harley Davidson that might be perceived as not being very green. But there we go. Yeah, Morris, hello there. How are you? Guilt by association. Yeah, absolutely. Guilt by association, and that's it. And whether you agree with this or not, whether you think this is the right thing or not, you can't ignore that. You can't ignore that. Depending on what line of work you're in, or what kind of profile that you have, you're going to be tarred with the same brush. As anybody else that might be in those circles. And look, I've got nothing to do with motorcycle clubs or anything like that, and I'm not going to speak on their behalf or what they do. But there is no doubt that if we just talk about group dynamics within any group, okay, whether it's a knitting circle, whether it's a chess club, or whether it's a motorcycle club, for me it doesn't make any difference, right? It's a group, and you're talking about group dynamics, and the bigger the group, the harder those dynamics are. And so that's why you need hard rules, or clear rules that define your code of practice, let's say, or what you're allowed to do and not to do. The people on the outside may look at those rules and think, what a load of old rubbish, what a load of old, I'm not doing that. Well, yeah, but that's because you're outside of the group. If you're inside the group, you would probably see the value of all these rules and restrictions, right? So, if you're in when you're not inside that group, you're not going to see exactly what the benefits of these rules and restrictions, all these procedures are, all these these ways of acting are. You see, so that's why if you're even associated with anybody like that, or anybody from within a group, not only you can have. You can't say everybody within the group is 100% stand-up person, because that's just not possible. It's just not possible. You cannot say that everybody in a group is, a choir boy, because it just isn't so. Now, you could say that we want everybody in our group to be choir boys, to be fine, upstanding members of the community. But that at least one or two, may be doing something wrong. Crikey, you could go to a church on a Sunday and guaranteed there are people in that church that would be doing some dodgy dealings, during the week. It's just the way it is, right? So I think, this overgeneralization of groups. Now, sometimes they don't help themselves, no doubt, and sometimes you could say, well, what, there's dodgy stuff going on there, but it doesn't mean that everybody is involved in this, and everybody gets in trouble for this. And you could say the same thing by extension. I'm kind of drawing this out here a little bit, but by extension, let's say everybody who rides a motorcycle is not a badass, right? Everybody who rides a motorcycle is not going to be in a motorcycle club or a gang, or not everybody who rides a motorcycle likes to wear leathers or likes to go to biker hangout places. The majority of people riding motorcycles are just normal people, and they may or may not like anything to do with motorcycle lifestyles or subcultures. They may they just think, they may think, oh, that's all a load of nonsense, that's all a load of silliness. All I like to do is just ride my bike. That's what they could be thinking. Other people might be, whoa, straight into the whole lifestyle thing. So, and the stereotype of just say, that's it. But anyway, listen, as I said, there's not a lot going on in terms of the the press this week for Harley Davidson or motorcycles in general. It has been a little bit lackluster. Here's another story. Here was that Harley Davidson loses 13.2% in 4 weeks. Here's why the trend reversal may be around the corner. Let's just see what they say about there for next year. This is all financial stuff. A lot of the videos that I was making last year or this year, I suppose, yeah, a lot of these rumor or speculation videos or topics of conversation. Actually, a lot of these came from. I'll show you. I'll show you the website here. That actually came from websites like this, which were financial press. This is the Nasdaq. This actually comes from the Nasdaq. But they would talk about companies like Harley Davidson and what they think that could happen in terms of finances. Could they go broke? All that kind of stuff. Were they wrong one? That's it. Were they the kind of company that could go broke? Were they overselling themselves? If they're basically saying, here we go. In addition to the investment ideas discussed above, would you like to know about our 10 picks for oh, no, that's just going on. The RSI, crikey, it's all talking financial stuff. They're basically saying it's taken a bit of a dip, but they're looking to come back a little bit. Look, the way markets work, or the way the fund prices work, is quite simple, really. It goes off a lot of feeling, and it goes of feel good or feel bad factors. And some things have a good feeling and then a bad feeling. So let's just say prior to the 2023 January 18 launch, you're going to see the stock price go up. You'll just see it start to go up and it will peak up. And then all of a sudden, on the reveal, will determine how the market responds to that. There's an inflation of a stock price. So the company think, yeah, we're doing well. It isn't. It's all false. It's all a way of just building up anticipation. You build up anticipation until the company just suddenly gets over the edge. They tell everybody what they're going to do. Then the market either responds favorably or not in terms of, oh, we really like what you're thinking there. That means that could be a lot more money. That could be a lot more money coming in from a global presence. They're a ching ching. Therefore, price goes up even more because they can see the future of Harley Davidson. Let's say in this case, they're going to be doing a lot better. However, if they don't really see that whatever there's been announced as favorable, all of a sudden they think, well, I'm not too sure. Confidence starts to wane in the product or in the company, and then it starts to lose its market value. And that's essentially what happens with these things. Listen. Harley Davidson, we know. Look, they've got the bikes coming out in January the 18th, right? All the reveal, and here's Harley Davidson have got their live launch on January the 18th, right? They've got their live launch, and they're going to reveal to the world what new motorcycles they're going to bring out. But here's the question for you. Do you wait for the 2023 motorcycles from Harley Davidson? Do you wait for January the 18th? Or do you go into your dealership right now, as in you're watching this right now on January on December the 27th, and you go into your dealership and you say, hey, I want to buy that bike right now? Do you wait for Harley Davidson to reveal their new bikes, or do you buy now? And this is an interesting one because quite a few people have been sending me little opinion pieces or little emails or little messages here and there, or even commenting on some of the videos, and they're saying, look, oh God, what's the bike going to be in 2023? What models are they going to have? What's the price going to be? Or I could just go into the dealership now, and guess what? They're going to sell a bike here that is, a 2022 bike. It's a Street Glide Special. Da, 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 da. It's, it's gonna. They've got this price tag on it. I think I could get a good deal on that, and I would say this is absolutely where you should be looking. If you are desperate to see what the 2023 bikes are, then just hold off. Hold off. However, bear this in mind. If you're going to wait for the 2023 bikes, the new model bikes, even if they're brand new motorcycles or carryover motorcycles, in other words, just the same model, but just with a new model year, right? And they may have made some advances and some enhancements, let's say. They may have different accessories, or they may have a different engine or whatever. If you're desperate for that, then wait. Yes, but knowing that those motorcycles are going to cost you a lot more than you would definitely pay today. However, if you are just in the market for a Harley Davidson, and let's just say it's a Street Glide Special, and they've got one, because they got lots of stock at year end, they've got lots of stock still, right? And there's a Street Glide Special or a Road Glide or any other bike, right? Any Softail, and it's there right in front of you, and that's the bike that you like, and you don't care if it's a 2023, 2022 bike, that's the bike that you go for. Now, do you go on a finance or do you go hard cash? So here's the deal that you have with your dealership. You basically go in there and you say, is there a brand new bike? In other words, is there a 2022 model bike that you have that I like that has 0 miles on it? In other words, that it has not been registered, 0 miles, right? Or do they have a 2022 bike that has, let's say, 500 miles, 1,000 miles, a couple of thousand miles, but there's quite a substantial price difference. So one might be at whatever the 2022 price is, and the other one that's got a few miles on it might be, let's say, $1,000 cheaper. However, the one with all the miles on it has also got lots of extras. The owner, who only rode 1,000 miles on it, has actually put on lots of accessories that might be, and they might have done a stage 1 or a stage 2, upstage on it as well. So all of a sudden, you've got a bike there that you may pay a couple of thousand under what the normal brand new price would be, but you've actually got 5,000 or 6,000, 10,000 pounds, dollars, shekels worth of accessories already on there. So that's where you've got your market. So then you can say, right, which is going to be the best option for me? Do I look at a brand new bike at 2023, or do I go with what's right in front of me? And go with what's right in front of you. That's the best deal that you're going to have, because it's right at the end of the year. There's stock that dealerships want to get rid of, and they're desperate to get rid of them for the 2023 bikes coming in. They know there's going to be a lot of excitement for 2023 bikes. There's going to be less excitement for the 22 bikes going out, or any used bike. Right now, people are not thinking about buying motorcycles. It's a bit of a dead zone. And I always say this, if you're going to try and buy a bike, always try and buy a bike out of the riding season. So especially if you're in places where it might be snowed in or really cold, this is where you drive in your car, your truck, and you go to a dealership and you say, hey, what you got to offer? Da, 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 da. I like that price, right? Let's sit down. Let's do a deal. And then you go in hard. You lowball them a lot. You go, and I'm not talking £500 or dollars lower. I'm saying, no, go in stupidly low. Because if you don't go stupidly low, you don't know what kind of a deal you're going to get. So that's my advice to anybody. This is where I'd say it right now. It's a very small window you have here. You probably have about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of year-ending 2022 bikes into early 2023. But obviously, every year, this could be the same, 2023 into 24, 24 into 25, whatever. Always look at the end of year bikes and which motorcycles have been unsold, or which motorcycles the dealerships have got back in, and they've got lots of money that have been spent on them by the previous owner, but they got very, very low mileage. And these bikes might be in mint condition, immaculate. Those are the bikes you want to go for. If you're not concerned about 2023 bikes or 2024, 2025 bikes, whatever it is, go for the bike that's right in front of you and that you could have the best deal. That's my take on it. Let us know your thoughts on that. Right. Let's move on to the next topic, shall we? The next topic, well, let us know your thoughts on that as well. Let us know your thoughts. When is the best time to buy a motorcycle? Full stop. When is the best time to buy a Harley Davidson at all? You know, if it is it now? Is it during the winter months? You know, because somebody was saying in one of the comments earlier on, saying, "Oh, Harley Davidson have only moved their launch to January because of the 120th anniversary celebrations." And unfortunately, this person who made the comment obviously doesn't know what they're talking about, because Harley Davidson moved their live reveal to January some 3 years ago, or whenever it was. So it wasn't for the 120th. It's because they want to get out of the autumn reveals and just start the brand new year. Have bikes that would you could go into your dealership on the day or the very next day after the reveal, see what the brand new bike is. You could put your order down, and then it would arrive, or hopefully it would arrive to you in the dealership, let's say in a few weeks, let's say in March or April, or possibly even before that. Depends on how many they've built in advance, and you could be riding the brand new season on a bike that you've just put down, as opposed to trying to buy something in October, November, and then you buy it, but then it'd be in the garage for the next 4 or 5, 3 or 4 months, 5 months, because of the inclement weather. And I know most people who are going to be riding these bikes, they're not going to be riding in crappy weather. Certainly not on a 30,000-40,000 pound shekel motorcycle. If they are going to be riding in winter, they're not going to be riding on that bike. They'll probably ride on something else, or they'll probably not ride at all. They just go in a truck. But this is the reason why they've done that. They've moved the time frame. They moved it around so they know exactly where they want to do it, and how to achieve the best results in terms of sales, but also jumping on the wave of the expectation of the next riding season for the North American market predominantly, but also for the Northern Hemisphere. Because this was another question, another point that came in to saying, they're only doing this then because they know most people have their bikes in the garage. Well, that's because you, as the person who's put the comment in, is only thinking about where you live in America, let's say. And yes, it might be that you're all snowed in, but actually, that's only the Northern Hemisphere. There's actually a whole another half of the world that actually rides motorcycles as well, and that's called in the Southern Hemisphere. So, when people, when they're doing their January live launch on the 18th, well, actually, if you got the likes of Australia and New Zealand and South Africa and anywhere in South America or Africa or whatever, right? The Middle East, well, they're riding in dry days or hot summer days. There's no problem from them. So, I wish people would just look at this as a global picture now, and not just looking at their own particular country. Because when you're talking about motorcycle manufacturers, what they see is the global picture, the global presence. They don't think about the local backyard riding. In terms of Harley Davidson, they look at what their biggest market is, and their biggest market, which has been reducing over many years, of course, but their biggest market is the North American market. So that's why they've moved it to them. But even Harley Davidson, they look at this in a global picture as well. Right. Okay. So, sorry, just tap the mic there. Let me just have a look at this. And now, one of the other questions that I picked up the other day was, How big do Harley Davidson engines really need to be? How big do you want them to be? This is a question that I was asked recently in one of the comments to videos. I said, how big do they need to be? I want a bigger engine. I want a bigger engine in the CVO. It has to be bigger than a 117. It has to be a 131. In the Softails, oh, they definitely need bigger engines. This is when we had the 107s only. Yes, they have to have the 114s, and then the 114s have to be 117s. The Taurus, they can't just stay at 114s. They have to all go to 117 engine. I had an interesting conversation a few months ago with a Harley Davidson representative, let's say, and they were saying actually from within the company, there isn't the enthusiasm to give people bigger and more powerful motorcycle engines. There isn't the enthusiasm. They're basically saying, no, you've got a 114 engine here. That's plenty enough. You've got a 117 engine here. That's plenty enough. The problem is you're delivering bigger engines and bigger and more expensive motorcycles to a fan base or to a client base, to a customer base who kind of want that. They kind of want more power, that kind of thing. It's a never-ending story, or it's a never-ending ladder that people just keep on climbing up. They want the bigger engine. They want the more power. They want more torque. They want more horsepower. And people are always chasing that, because you kind of produce this culture. That's what people aspire to. I had an interesting read of an article a few months ago now, and this was from they were speaking to a lot of the crews, a lot of the pit crews from the King of the Baggers series. It's basically between Indian crews and Harley Davidson crews, isn't it, teams? And they were basically saying that all the Harley Davidson crews, all the teams that are running Harley Davidson, they were adamant. There's absolutely no reason. There's no reason why Harley Davidson engines need to get any bigger than this. They're absolutely massive. There's no reason. I remember watching an interview with a guy. He was an ex-pro motocross rider who was working with Yamaha, and they were showing their brand new 250cc motorcycle. I think it was a WRF 250. And basically, he was saying to riders and to people who were showcasing the bike, because they were all talking about, oh yeah, we're going to change this up, we're going to add this suspension, we're going to do this, and we're going to, add a bit more power here and everything. And his line to them was, why would you ever want to do that? Why would you ever want to change that? That bike there is more than everybody can ever handle as it is coming out of the factory. So why do you need to change it? And nobody could give a good answer. Nobody. And this is where we talk about engine sizes or power and torque. Most people would admit, most people would agree that you don't really need all this extra engine power or all this extra engine size. It is, I don't want to be vulgar, but this is penis extension. This is just, dick waggling in front of your friends. It's basically saying, hey guys, look at how big my engine is. Look at how much torque it's got. But you're never going to use it. And even if you did use it, you probably use it 1% of the time. Even those people who claim that they'll be using it all the time. I tell you what, the marginal benefit that you'd have over a smaller engine from Harley Davidson would be, well, dare I say it, to repeat myself, marginal. Yeah, it would be absolutely insignificant. Because people want more and more, they want faster and faster, but they're very rarely going to use it. Now, if you take that to the track, and if you're talking about incremental gains, but you've got to talk about suspension, you've got to talk about braking, you've got to talk about tires, you've got to talk about settings, different settings for different tracks. And then if you want bigger horsepower, let's say, or for less weight, a better power to weight ratio, yes, you can talk about that in those terms. to eke out maybe a hundredth of a second per lap. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking a few hundredths of a second here per lap. I'm talking about the elite level here. But for the road, you're never going to need that. You're never going to use that. Now, I could be completely wrong here. So let us know your thoughts, what you think. Do Harley Davidson engines in particular, do they need to be bigger, and do they need to produce more power and more torque and more horsepower? Do Harley Davidson engines with a 117 engine, is that as big as they need to go, or do they need to go to a 121, 124, 131? Do they need even bigger engines than a 131? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But I would say absolutely not. I ride a Harley Davidson with a 107 engine. I've got to say, I am more than happy with the 107 engine. Now, if I decided to change my bike for another Harley Davidson, yes, I may go for a 114. I may even go for a 117. I'll see what's on offer. But that doesn't mean that I think I'm getting a better engine or a better bike than the 107. I actually think it's a great engine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's got more than enough power for the kind of riding that I would ever do on a Harley Davidson. And that's the key thing. If you're only ever going to do normal road riding, even if you're going to twist it on from time to time, I'll bet you'll find that a 107, 114 is more than enough. More than enough. Now, in certain circumstances, yes, a 117 or something that's got even more power might even be better. But you can achieve that just by upstaging a 114 or a 107 anyway. You don't necessarily need to go that much bigger to achieve the results that will just alleviate your concerns, let's say. That's my view, but let us know your thoughts. And actually, it appears that my opinion is shared with many people within Harley Davidson, and certainly those motor racing teams and the King of the Baggers that are running Harley Davidsons as well. They don't think that you need to go bigger at all. In fact, just stick with what you got. A 114, 117 is more than enough. Let us know your thoughts. But that is what I've been told as well. Definitely. Harley Davidson engines, it's got to a point, it's got ridiculous now. It's got to a point where people are looking at a 114 and even a 117, and they're saying, do you know what? These are they're not big enough. We need more. And then the people who are riding Dyners and twin cams, 103s, 110s, let's say, and they say, well, hold on a minute, or even lesser, you can go back in the day and say, hold on, these bikes had plenty of power for what we need, especially when we upstage them. They're absolutely fine as well. They had more power than we could ever use anyway. So why need it? The only thing I would say about having a bigger engine is this: if you've got a bigger engine, you've probably got more latitude to build upon, definitely. To upstage, you're going to have more performance out of it, but you're also going to be you're going to be demanding a lot less power from a bigger engine than you would from a much smaller engine. So let's just say if I had a 500cc motorcycle, for example, I would be making that work a lot harder to achieve the kind of riding style, the riding profile that I would want, than if I was riding a 1000cc. Okay, I could just chug along quite easy on 1000cc, whereas a 500cc, I'd be working a lot harder. However, with Harley Davidson engines, they're already big engines. A 107, a 114, 117, they're already huge engines, and they're not built for horsepower or speed. They're built for torque, and that's why we love them so much. So you're still going to have that best, the best option there, the option that is going to give you the best ride. Let us know your thoughts here on this, or in the comments afterwards. But as I say, I've never been a great fan of just going bigger torque, bigger horsepower for the sake of having bigger torque and bigger horsepower. In fact, I know for a fact that people with Harley Davidsons in particular, they upstage their motorcycles. They put cams into their bike that are totally inappropriate for the kind of riding that they do. Now, I will say this in their defense: it may be that it's a genuine mistake. It may be that they've been led astray by other people or by a dealership, let's say, or anybody who's doing the work, or what they think everybody else should be riding. But actually, what they find is, actually, do you know what? My kind of riding style is this particular way. So anybody with any mechanic or any dealership worth their grain of salt, as it were, worth their salt, would actually say to the person, they would sit them down, and I'm sure most people get this kind of conversation. It's whether it's listened to or not. It's, they say, what kind of riding do you do? Are you kind of just chugging along kind of thing, you just want to get away from the lights kind of thing, that kind of thing, or do you want to go really fast all the time and whatever, that's kind of thing. So most people, especially my age, let's say, they say, yeah, they want to have a little bit of power, but most of it is low down torque. You want to fill up your bags, you want to put somebody on the back, you just want to chug along the highway for all day long. Yeah, that's a torque cam, isn't it? What kind of torque cam and everything, and from what manufacturer, essentially. But most people are not going to be pinging the throttle and going everywhere, because you're going to lose your license quite quickly. But most people don't ride like that. So most people would find that those bikes are just not, the power delivery profile just isn't good enough. But there we go. That's my thoughts. Let us know your thoughts as well. Kyla, hello there. Have you heard anything about the Sport Glide? Yes, Sport Glide. Interesting, conflicting information again here. So in certain markets, it looks as if the Sport Glide. Okay, let me just say, as we know, last year in the North American market, the Sport Glide and oh crikey, what else? The Breakout and Softail Slim, I believe it was, were discontinued, right? However, the rest of the world still retained those bikes. Certainly the Sport Glide and certainly the Breakout in most markets. This year, it was heavily touted that the Sport Glide, as with a lot of other 107 engine Harley Davidsons, were being discontinued. However, it's come to light that certain markets may still be getting the 107 Sport Glide. Now, here's the conflicting information. I've heard rumors again that the Sport Glide is indeed staying, and it's staying in those markets, but these are just carry-over bikes. These are unsold bikes. These are manufactured bikes, the Sport Glide, and they're just going to have one more year of it. The other rumor, however, is that the Sport Glide 107 is just being scrapped completely. There's going to be no more Sport Glide at all. This is for all markets, right? The other news is that the Sport Glide for non-US and non-Canadian markets is getting a 114 engine. That's the rumors. These are all rumors. These are all unsubstantiated. So I don't want you to think, okay, this is what's happening, because one, it depends where the market is. Two, it depends if they're talking about carryover bikes or they're talking about brand new Sport Glides. I don't want them to go. I'm a Sport Glide rider myself, of course. We, in the Sport Glide world, most people thought that it should have at least had the 114 engine option, which it never did. So it would be good to see it. But we know the Lowrider S is there, and the ST, Lowrider ST is there as well. You kind of think, is there a place for the Sport Glide? And it was all, as soon as it came out, there was rumors that within Harley Davidson always ever saw the Sport Glide as a 3-year model. It was never going to be anything else. And so far, it's kind of lived up to that. It's just been a 3-year model for the North American market, this is, and it had one final year in the global market. However, some reports saying that some parts of the world is still going to say this day. So I think, look at my previous point. about buying bikes. If you want a Sport Glide, buy it now. Buy it now. Don't worry about whether it's, well, okay, but no, okay, let me take that back. Let me take it. I should take that back. Okay, hold on. If I should that if you're really if all you want is a Sport Glide with a 114 engine, okay, that doesn't currently exist, right? If that's all you want, then obviously don't buy the Sport Glide. If, however, you want a Sport Glide and you're more than happy with a 107 engine that it's got, go and buy it. Go and buy it now. Do the deal. Get the best deal that you possibly can. Pay a 2022 price, with discounts. Do not pay a 2023 price. That's whatever we go. But there we go. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I love this bit of humor. You see, I'm a big comedian fan. The 2023 Soy Glide is coming. The electric bagger. Wow. There we go. I would not be surprised if they tried to do something like this at some stage. As technology moves on with the electric bikes, but I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. The Soy Glide. Yeah, yeah, or the olive oil glide or something like that. It'd be something like that, wouldn't it? Anyway, listen, guys, it's unless you got any other questions, let us know what your thoughts are. So, some topics there for you to dig into. I'll try and I'll see what those come out like as clips, and I'll release those videos as well. Food for thought, anyway. Food for thought for 2023. The truth is, nobody really knows what is coming. We don't know. We can only go by the bits of information that we've been said. And I say I can only go by if I receive multiple bits of information that say exactly the same thing. And right now of this latest stuff, it's a bit all over the place, and you're not getting lots to corroborate. And so even when we jump on a story, especially like a company like Harley Davidson, even when we're jumping on a story to say, hey, look, here's this new bike, or they've got this, or they got that, here's a new Nightster S. It's hard to say whether it's coming or not, whether it's not really corroborated. And I was just always say, it's only when Harley Davidson themselves come out with information. Now, my argument against Harley Davidson is this, or my criticism of Harley Davidson, and it is a criticism, that I think that they should be releasing bits of information now. Before Christmas, pre-Christmas, mid-December or start of December, they should have started to be releasing, and I'm not saying information as in technical information, but little snippets of videos, 10-second videos here, just to whet the appetite. Bits of a half an image or a blurred out image of something, on their social media or something, or on their news feeds, or contact us in the press or in social media land, or whatever you want to consider, and say, look, this is the information. We're going to start bringing it out and everything. If you want to drive enthusiasm, you've got to let the machine work for you. And I think sometimes Harley Davidson are a little bit, they're relying too much on this reveal day. It's almost like they need to bring out a bit of information, a few cues, a few tidbits, let's say, beforehand, just to get everybody's tongues wagging a little bit. And I'd be one of the first people who would be wagging their tongue or wagging their tail, I don't know, whatever the term is, but I would definitely be doing it, and I'd be bringing it to you and having discussion programs and doing live shows about it as well. I would definitely be doing it. Why not? Because it wouldn't be just rumor, it would actually be substantiated stuff to say, look, this is from Harley Davidson now. And a couple of videos which I brought out recently and saying, look, this is official Harley Davidson news. This is from their press release. I'm showing it to you. I'm trying to give you that hands-on information, or trying to show you that, look, in this press release, they've talked about this, but they've said use this word here. That can only mean one thing, that kind of thing. And I think that's where Harley Davidson, for me, they don't do enough. in terms of working with the media, their media kits, their press kits, that kind of thing, that if you look at all the motorcycle press publications, online publications, right? The thing is, I get all this information as well, and I know that story before they even release it, right? But I know the pictures that they're using. I've already received these pictures, so it's nothing. I'm not doing anything big or clever. It's just that I'm tapped into the same sources that they're tapped into, right? In terms of that official press releases. So the information that we are all collectively getting from the press side, if you like, I don't really want to call, consider myself as a press, or don't want to throw my hat into the same ring. But if you know what I mean, if you consider us all as the same media information provision, as it were, then we're not getting enough from the likes of Harley Davidson or from other motorcycle manufacturers either. I think we should be getting a lot more. We should be getting a lot more so we can just bring that to you, or having discussion topics all the time. Just like in the sports world, for example, I'm a big football fan, as you all know. Well, after last night's performance, I'm not sure if I am anymore, but there we go. That's another story. But listen, in the sports world, you're constantly talking about different things. In the boxing world, I like boxing, or recently been getting into MMA fighting, so all that kind of stuff. I find it quite intriguing, but the information that you can be talking about, all the stuff, whereas in the motorcycle world, you don't really have that. You're kind of stuck at an impasse, and saying, well, okay, this is something that I want to have a discussion about, or want to bring information to you guys to have a discussion about, and there isn't anything there to really discuss. So that's where I see the big criticism. Morris, here we go. Aftermarket power upgrades are like a drug for some people. If it's power and speed you want, buy Japanese. Well, that's right. Look, I think a lot of it is misplaced. I think a lot of this desire to go bigger and better on a Harley Davidson or an Indian or on a Triumph is a bit misplaced. I think if you want to have that, what they're trying to do is go bigger, more powerful, faster on a bike that isn't really designed to do it. Because basically what you're trying to do is just go faster on a much, much heavier bike. So I get it. I get that's what you're trying to do. But the bikes aren't designed for it. The whole riding style isn't for that. The whole riding style of these bikes is to be a bit more leisurely, have power. It's almost like the gentleman's ride, it's a gentleman's drive. It's more of a sleeper. They should be more sleeper bikes in terms of power. You got the power there, but it's not going to be mind-numbingly, powerful. It's enough power just so people will nod their heads in approval, as opposed to go, wow, that's amazing. If you want the wow and amazing, you go to a Suzuki or a Kawasaki, right? It's as simple as that, or Ducati or wherever. Yeah. But anyway, listen, I think that's it. I think that's nearly an hour and a half, an hour and 20, talking my stuff for you. But listen, I hope you had a great Christmas or a great festive period, should I say. All denominations here welcome, all persuasions, all welcome. Whatever you are, wherever you are, wherever you're doing, wherever you want to be, just be excellent to each other. In the famous words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. And that's all I can say. But listen, some discussion points to say. I'm sure I'll come back after New Year with more stuff. I'm sure I'll change it up a little bit. I do like these live shows, and I do love, discussing these things with you. I tend not to answer a lot of comments these days. It's not that I'm hiding away from the comments. It's more that I've got such a huge catalog of videos on my channel now that I get lots of comments from old videos as well. So it's kind of hard to keep up with that kind of thing. So I do try and answer a few, but after a couple of hours or whatever, I just leave them then, and I don't answer anymore. So this is why I try and do the live shows as well. So if you've got any questions, you can come onto the live show and ask questions as well. But also bearing in mind that the things I discuss in the live shows, I may talk about in future videos as well. So if you want the early bits of info, right here is where it's at. Right here is where it's at. But I say I know lots of people don't like watching the live shows because they're too long. And I tell you how I watch live shows or live streams. This is how I watch it. Is that I just listen to them as a podcast. So I play the on my phone. I play the live stream. I got my headphones in. I take my dog for a walk, and I listen to it that way. So that's how I do it. But anyway, listen, Morris, thank you very much. 10, thank you very much. That'd be very kind, very kind. Giving a thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. It's always nice. It's always nice to have. Look, and you can support everything here, with all my social media, which I don't really engage with. That's another thing. But I'm everywhere. I always have been. It's funny. People will say, "God, you're really active on social media." I'm not. I've got all the accounts, and my website actually mostly distributes all my blog sites, all the videos to those sites. But there's the Patreon site there, there's the PayPal site there, the support sites. But if you're into all that, as I say, any support that I get, just to improve things much better. So I really do enjoy doing the live shows, and I really like having the conversations. I've been really trying to see what kind of videos work on my channel and which don't, and I definitely know the ones that do not work. And those videos that do not work, I'm more likely to include those topics in a live show, as a general discussion piece. So if you want to, whatever, if we're talking about other stuff, then actually there's other topics that I think are much more valuable for a channel, because I haven't been in between a rock and a hard place, but there definitely has been a noticeable thing this year where my channel almost died in terms of views. So I needed to recover it a little bit. So I'm on my way to recovering it. But I think these live shows have definitely helped in just speaking to people directly, and hopefully that's what I've been able to do. But listen, guys, thanks very much. I hope you had a great festive period. I hope you're going to have a fantastic new year, and I will speak to you. Well, I'll speak to you, if not before, then after, I'm sure. But certainly, if I have any more information coming through on the wires, as it were, I'll try and knock out a video as soon as I can. As I say, it's I can't wait for the January 18th reveal, not because of the reveal, but really just to see, where if any of the information that we've been getting, or whether any of it has been accurate or not. And that's where I gauged last year's as well, because I was getting lots of information for last year's reveal, and I wonder, a lot of that wasn't very accurate. And I dare say that this year, a lot of it won't be very accurate. But I just want to see if this year, if anything we see in 2023 is matched what I've been hearing the last few months as well. But anyway, we shall see. Bless you all. Thanks very much. It's been emotional, and I'll catch you again whenever that is. But look, this has been what? Post-Christmas drinks. Post-Christmas drinks. We've been talking about bikes. We've been talking about stuff, competition for Harley Davidson. Do you need bigger engines? All that kind of stuff. And all I can say is see ya and God bless. Ta-da.